George and Kawhi Leonard, a thing of beauty.
Well, you think about two guys that can guard on the perimeter, the best two-way players in the league on the same team, but also two guys that can take over at any given time. They have solid depth on the bench, and then they're well coached. So these two guys had conversation, and two guys that really want to play with each other.
Let's welcome in Kevin McHale, a man that knows about championships as well as making deals as a front office member. Kevin, Kawhi and Paul George have 9 all-defensive team honors between them. Kawhi is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. They were also amongst the league leaders in points per touch last season. What makes them elite on offense together?
Well, they both can put the ball on the floor. They both shoot it well enough from the perimeter. You got to respect them. And they both have that little mid-range game. That's kind of a lost thing. Both Paul George and Kawhi can pull up in that mid-range, make the free throw line jumper. Kawhi was, when he first got in the league, had a really good post game and was really effective. Doesn't do as much of it anymore, but he'll get down there. They're just both very versatile players, and I think it's a perfect match. I really think Paul George is a good number 2 guy, number 3 guy type. I don't know if he can be your best player on a championship caliber team, but Kawhi just proved again that he can be your number 1 player on a championship caliber team. And having a running mate like Paul George along with Kawhi, it's just they're both just very efficient with the ball. I thought Paul George took a few bad shots this year. Kawhi very seldom takes bad shots, and so it's their shot selection on offense. And they're both adequate enough passers. They'll both find the open man, but when they get the ball, they're able to go to work. And so, I mean, you're going to be teams in this league will be so hard pressed to have 2 guys defensively good enough to put on Kawhi and Paul George. It's just you just don't have those big wings like that, and to guard them. So one will always have a mismatch. One will always have a lesser defender on them, and so it's going to be interesting. I tell you, the Clippers. Boy, I tell you what, Los Angeles basketball is happening right now between the Lakers and what they did, and the Clippers and what's going on. So it's going to be fun.
I know that's hard for you to say as a Celtic through and through, but looking at what the Lakers have done since the Clippers took Kawhi Leonard off the market, bringing in Boogie Cousins, a guy who, before tearing his Achilles, was an MVP candidate in this league. Now looking at him on back-to-back years on 1-year deals, first with the Warriors, now with the Lakers. Why has the market dried up so much for Boogie?
Well, the big man is falling out of favor a little bit in the league. I mean, I thought with Joel Embiid had a big year this year, and he's able to bring some back. Jokic had a great year, but Boogie with the injury and the Achilles tendon injury, I thought he looked a lot slower myself. I thought defensively he never really was great laterally. And this year in Golden State, I watched him sometimes, and boy, they put him in every action. And you've got to defend in this league. You've got to, as a big, you've got to be able to get down. You got to be able to move your feet. You got to be able to play. Switch and play some guys, some smaller guys, keep them in front of you, make them shoot over extended hand. And, and I think right now with Cousins, he just has got to understand that this is LeBron's team. It's AD's team. And he's got to fit in. He's got to be a role player on that team, and hopefully he can get healthy, get back. But he's just, he's got to go in there with the attitude of understanding that, this is a championship caliber team, and he can help them a great deal. But he's got to go in there with that attitude of man, what do I got to do to make this team better? What do I have to improve on, and how do I have to play to really help this Los Angeles Lakers team win games, not put up numbers, but win games. That's what they're going for right now, the Lakers and the Clippers. They're trying to win a championship. And I'm telling you what, I've said this for years. Putting up numbers, if you have talent if you have talent and you're in the NBA, putting up numbers is not hard. You just got to take enough shots. If you want to get selfish, you can go out and average, 30 points a game. But winning is unbelievably hard. To win games in this league is hard. To win series, to win 4 out of 7 in the playoffs is unbelievably hard. And to do that 4 times to win a championship, man, winning is so much harder than putting up numbers. Boogie's got to do all the things that help a team win, all the little things that the Lakers are going to need him to do, which he can. He can pass the ball. He's got to understand who the hot man. He's got to understand how to give him the ball. I think he's got I know he's got a good high basketball IQ, so he should fit in there. But again, he's going to have to kind of reestablish himself as a guy that can help teams, that can help a team make a championship run.
Kevin McHale, again, a guy that knows a thing or two about sacrificing to win championships. We appreciate your time for breaking it down on Boogie with the Lakers, also Paul George and Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. Thank you. Tony, this is the second time in the past decade we've seen the Clippers get a 5-year span. His Clippers have owned the Lakers, winning 16 of their 20 head-to-head matchups, including reaching the playoffs 4 times, while the Lakers still on that drought. Now with 2 MVP candidates from last season heading to play together on his team, we can only expect that rivalry to increase. Let's welcome in Mike Bresnahan, who's an analyst for Spectrum Sports in L.A. So the Lakers strike out with Kawhi Leonard. They still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They also were prepared with players lined up as soon as Kawhi made his decision. Shooting clearly a priority this offseason for the Lakers, adding veterans with career averages over 35% from three-point range. Quinn Cook, Danny Green, Jared Dudley, Troy Daniels. Why was this so different from their approach last offseason with three-point shooting as a priority?
I'll tell you what, it's been a couple years in a row now where the Lakers have finished 29th in the NBA in three-point accuracy. And last season, they had to work so hard for their points because they just couldn't rely on anything behind the arc, which, as we know, is the huge trend for the last 10 years in the NBA. I think they got tired of that. They said, look, we need some easy buckets. We need to go after a guy like Quinn Cook, a guy like Jared Dudley. I just kept going and going after shooters. Danny Green, obviously, 2 years and $30 million. I'd say he's a pretty good shooter from behind the arc. So I think they're trying to get easier points, and they're realizing if LeBron and AD do a pretty good two-man game, they'll be able to kick it out to a bunch of guys who will be wide open for some threes.
Including Boogie Cousins, who as a 5 can shoot from outside. Now just a year and a half removed from his Achilles tear. He's still only 29 at the start of the season. Did the Lakers buy low on a guy with a tremendous ceiling?
I think they did. I think it's a pretty good value contract, kind of a potential low-risk, high-reward. It's bizarre for Boogie because last summer he signed a one-year deal thinking, all right, I'm going to rehab my image on the court and my ability, obviously, with the coming off that devastating Achilles injury, and it just didn't always click with him at Golden State. Obviously, he had that quad injury as well. So what does he do? Signs another one-year deal, another contract year for a guy who is still under 30. I think it's a pretty big pickup for the Lakers. And if this guy can get back to what he did for Golden State, which was 16 points, 8 rebounds, hit some threes here and there, get some dimes here and there, that's a pretty good value pickup for the Lakers.
Well, Anthony Davis and Boogie, we saw part 1 with them in New Orleans. They were around a 500 team together, but that was just over half a season with them both on the court. However, Boogie and AD put up MVP caliber numbers together. Do you get the sense that they have unfinished business?
I do. That's a great point. And now they add a guy like LeBron James to that duo. And I just think it's a very nice pickup for the Lakers. Obviously they waited 6 days to hear that, nope, Kawhi Leonard is not going to be coming their way. And they had to drop down to not just plan B or C, but probably plan D, because so many other options were already off the table. Huge flurry of free agent pickups on that first night, and then that second day of free agency. When you get a guy like Danny Green, who obviously came with some circumstances, he was waiting to see what Kawhi Leonard would do. And when we all saw what happened, Danny Green, a quick pickup by the Lakers, pretty good value there as well. And then you had a guy like Quinn Cook. You don't know a lot about him, but when he had spot starts for Golden State, he could put up points in a hurry, shot over 40% from the three-point line last season. So they're definitely going for shooters and scorers, and a lot different from last summer when they went for defense.
Historically, the Lakers have been the big brother and the LA Clippers have been the little brother. But since Steve Ballmer took over as owner of that team, it's the opposite. The Clippers really own the head-to-head record. And now the Clippers get Kawhi Leonard, who the Lakers were chasing, and Paul George as well. Is this rivalry going to increase in how it's been over the past couple of years?
You know what's funny? I remember several years ago when Byron Scott was the Laker coach. Somebody asked him at a random practice the day before they played the Clippers. They said, Byron, is this a Clipper town now? Is this still a Laker town? And he laughed. He said, come on, hold on a second here. But now I think there is actually a legitimate rivalry. All the Vegas odds makers are pointing towards Clippers and Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. How crazy would that be at Staples Center? There was a time about 10 years ago where they came close to potentially playing each other in a playoff series, and it just didn't happen. It hasn't happened in a long time, if ever. So it's going to be fascinating to see 2-on-2 LeBron and AD versus Kawhi and Paul George. Just make sure you can see the stage. It's going to be awesome.
Wow, Western Conference Finals in the same building. I guess traveling won't be an issue for the media covering that series. Mike Bresnahan, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime.
TD, you were a guy that excelled at catch and shoot threes. When you see the Lakers add 2 of the 4 best players at that particular skill last season, do you view the Lakers as having the ultimate complementary players with LeBron for guys that have that particular skill?
Absolutely. When you think about what's made LeBron a champion is that they surrounded him with shooters in Miami, and also they surrounded him with shooters in Cleveland. You talk about Danny Green being an over 40% three-point shooter, has knocked down a lot of clutch shots, also a champion in himself. He plays both sides of the ball, but if you're going to win championships, you got to have guys that can knock down shots from outside, and these guys are exceptional at it.
Let's discuss the other 2 guys on this graphic, because Malcolm Brogdon got a huge payday to go to Indiana. The Lakers clearly couldn't afford him. And then Seth Curry, 4 years, $32 million to Dallas. So if you're trying to figure out what are you going to do if Kawhi doesn't sign with you, it seems like they got 2 guys. They had 2 guys targeted that were ideal for their situation.
And you got to think about what has made him a champion over this time is that he has surrounded himself. If you think about what Pat Riley did, if you think about what Griff did, is that they made sure they had shooters around him that whenever he collapsed the defense, because he puts so much pressure on the baskets that you have to help. Now just about putting nice corner shooters out there and also wing shooters, and that's what they've done. And this Laker team has done a great job over in the summer, just putting the right players around LeBron. They couldn't do it last year because, once again, those players weren't available. But those players were available because, guess what? They had money this year.
And another thing we see in the league is the idea of the stretch 5. Well, Boogie Cousins in his last season in New Orleans before his injury was taking about 6 3-pointers per game. We don't expect him to launch that many, but as a threat, as a stretch 5, is he a really good fit from that perspective?
I think with Boogie, it's just about staying healthy. We know his skill set is, it's great when you talk about a guy that can post up, a guy that can also make shots from the outside, a guy that can put the ball on the floor, make plays for his teammates. With him, it's just staying healthy. We know what he provides, but, now the pressure's not on him to go out there and be the man on a nightly basis. They're going to work him in slowly. He'll come in, he'll be ready, and the game hasn't passed him on. I know I've heard some people say, the game has passed Boogie on. I don't think so. I think Boogie's skill set is going to allow him to get back to form. He just got to stay healthy.
Okay, if you had to pick it right now, who's going to come out of the West, and you just had these 2 teams in L.A., Clippers and the Lakers, who are you going with?
I am going with the Clippers. I think the Clippers have the depth. They have a great coach in Doc Rivers, a coach that's won a championship, and just their 2 guys on the perimeter. Those are lockdown defenders, the best 2-way players in the game, and those guys are very capable of taking over a team. But just the guys around, they have a bunch of guys that understand their role. With the Lakers, the chemistry could be an issue to start out, but I like what the Clippers have. I like their chemistry. Their chemistry did well against Golden State, but also a team that made the playoff last season.
So the Toronto Raptors, they lose their star, and Oklahoma City Thunder lose one of theirs. We've seen several stars move this offseason. Is Russell Westbrook next? We examine